Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to share a more personal story of mine. I wanted to share the story of my spiritual awakening and personal transformation. I don't think I've ever actually shared it, definitely not on YouTube. Maybe I've incorporated it into my blogs before. It's definitely on my about page, but I've never actually talked about it so openly. And I just wanted to share my story because I wanted you to know me better, know what I'm about, who I am, and also maybe my story will inspire you on your own awakening journey, or maybe you'll gain some insight from my story. Also, I just wanted to point out that the story that I'm about to share with you was kind of recorded on a whim. I just pressed record and started talking on the video, so I wasn't really planning on making this an actual video for my YouTube channel. I mean, I had it in the back of my mind, but I wasn't actually gonna do it. So that kind of explains the weird attire and the lighting and the hair and all of that stuff. So just don't mind it, it's about the essence of what I'm saying. Yeah, so that explains that. I just wanted to throw that out there, but yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you enjoy my story. So today I'm kind of doing a personal video, just about my awakening journey. I just want to talk about my story a little bit, and share kind of what I've gone through and how I've come to the place that I am at now. So basically, I don't really tell a lot of people about this. This is very personal to me. I don't really open up about this. Obviously, I do on my website, but in my normal life, I don't really go out saying hey, I had a spiritual awakening, I kind of keep it to myself unless I feel I can trust the people, and the people that I'm talking to maybe help me open up to, and then I tell them I do. But I don't go around with a sign on my forehead, because a lot of times people don't really perceive it well. I mean, they don't get it. A lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, she's so woke. So I usually don't open up to ignorant people about my truth, which is the majority of the world. So yeah, I don't really, yeah. So this is kind of a big deal for me. But basically, my story of awakening is, it kind of started when I was right after high school, right around high school. The pressure's on. You have to pick a career, you got to go to college, what do you want to major in? And I had no idea of what I wanted to major in, because I had no idea of what I wanted to do for a living. And this really was rooted in the fact that I had no idea who I was, and I had no idea what I was good at and what my passions were and what I was interested in. I really didn't have any hobbies. I had no idea. Everybody else seemed to have it figured out. I had no idea. And so I had to figure it out, right? I knew always that I needed to have a good career. I really wanted to make a difference. I really wanted to make a difference, and I really wanted to be of service to other people and be helpful in some way. I wanted to help people in some way. That's just in my nature, and that was always a thing for me. But to figure out how, and I was always very creative too, so that was partially my first kind of that's where the journey began. The journey into personal discovery began, because I had to, in order to find a career and what I wanted to do with my life, I had to figure out who I was first. And so I really got into all of astrology, just reading a lot of articles and watching videos and taking personality tests, and just trying my best to figure out who I am and what I'm interested in, what I'm good at, and so that I can figure out my career. Yeah, I was just searching. So I was 19, 20 at this time, and I was just searching for answers about what I should do with my life. And I ended up going to college, and I ended up becoming a teacher, because that was something that I always loved to do as a child. I always imitated my teachers at home. I played school all the time, so I was well, it's an obvious choice. I always loved psychology too, and just anything with the mind and deeper subjects. So I went to school and I got my degree in education. But I had a lot of fear holding me back from the types of careers that I would choose. So there were other options, but I was there's no way I could do that. I was so disempowered. I was there's no way I could do that. Little me, how could I be a psychologist, or how could I be a counselor? There were these bigger careers that I was definitely interested in, but I didn't believe in myself enough to go for it. And I had a lot of like social anxiety too, and just like issues around that. So I was very scared. I lived in a lot of fear, and I did let it hold me back in choosing my career path. But I was like, you know what, like teaching is the safest and most obvious thing. I can handle it. I'm working with kids. It's not like I have to work with adults. That's not scary. So I guess in a lot of ways, like my choice in career was fear-based in a lot of ways, you know. But whatever, that's what I was able to handle at the time. So I got my degree and I started teaching, and I was like, okay, this is not for me. Like, this is not for me. And not because I don't like teaching. I really love teaching, and that's genuine, that's true. But it just wasn't my environment, my, like, just in the way that I wanted to teach. So okay, keep searching, right? So I got really into numerology and really any avenue to learn about myself, like who am I, because I need help. So I got into numerology. I learned all about that, and I learned a lot about myself, and like I'm a 6 life path, and like, you know, and just other things, and astrology as well. And I was reading books, like I was constantly reading things that were of like a deeper nature to try to get answers. I was reading like spiritual books too, but it's just, at the time, it just didn't resonate with me. I mean, like all of the wisdom was definitely like, yes, I was highlighting everything. You know, I look back to those books and I'm like, man, I was really like soaking it up and absorbing the knowledge, but it didn't click. It wasn't like, oh, like that aha moment, you know. It didn't resonate on that level. It was like, yeah, this makes sense, like this is good, but it wasn't to the extent to where it could actually like give me that aha moment, that clarity. So I kept going, and then I took it to the next level, and I was like, I'm soul searching now, like fuck, you know, like this trying to find my career, my passion. Who am I, like on a deep level? And so I like got into like reading those types of books, and I reached out to my brother, and I was telling him about it, and he recommended a book to me, and it was The Lost Teachings of Atlantis, The Children of the Law of One. No one's ever heard of this book. It's like, I don't even think you can buy it. There's a lot of stuff in the book that I don't agree with, but the essence of the book, the message was real, and it was, you know, it was, for me, my truth. It aligned with a truth that I never knew I had within me. And that was the awakening. So my spiritual awakening happened. So I was 28 years old, and I was reading this book, and everything was like feeling very true and real and right, and it resonated really, really deeply. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, I had the aha moment. I just saw clearly, everything just clicked. Everything clicked about who I am, what my purpose here is on earth, what the purpose of life is, the meaning of life, the bigger picture, this crap, this bullshit about the matrix and society and this illusion that we're living in. Like it's all bullshit. Like it's all just made up. It's not real. And it was all of that was holding me back in my life a lot. You know, it was this fear around like you know, failing, and all of this anxiety I had about just all of the human issues that we have, right? Like I was really affected by my humanness and waking up to the fact that I'm a soul, and that you know, we are spiritual beings, and we're just living out this earth, and we're all here to evolve, and we're all one consciousness, we're all connected, we are all divine within, deep within us, and that is our truth. That is who we are, and we are not the fear, we're not this anxiety that we feel, we're not even who we think that we are. You know, we are identified with our ego, with our false self. I learned about the ego, and that shattered all illusions. And it was just like, none of it matters really. At the end of the day, you're this divine light being of love. Like that is your vibration, you know. It was just mind-blowing. So that is kind of like, in essence, what like my awakening was about through this book. I was ready for it. I was ready to hear it. I had read a book with like the same message years before, and it didn't click in that way. Although like I said, I underlined every single part of it, and it super resonated, but it didn't click. And then I started reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle back in the day, and I wasn't getting it. I was like, what do you mean just be? Like, what do you mean be in the now? I don't understand. I wasn't ready. But yeah, I guess I was ready now. And so I read the book, I had my awakening, and it shifted everything. Like everything that I saw everything differently in this world of how things operate, how I want to, it's so hard to explain. It's like, I don't know, I just had different eyes. different eyes. It's the old me was done. The old me was gone, and I was a whole new me. I understood. I not even understood. I felt the truth. I felt this truth of who we are, of who we are, you know, like our spiritual selves. And I try to explain this to people that were around me. My husband, my ex-husband, was one of them, and he thought I was crazy. He was just like, yeah, you're great. You're like this crazy religious person now. And I'm like, this is not religion. This is not religion. This is just, it's spirituality. Okay, so, and that was back then. So that was what, now 6 years ago. So back then, nobody was really, very few people were aware of this. And like when you talk about like, oh, the universe will guide you, that was crazy talk back then. Like that just a couple years ago started becoming mainstream. But like the time that I woke up, it was, you know, it was crazy talk. And the closest thing that you can relate to that kind of conversation about spirituality is religion, you know, and it had nothing to do with religion. And anyway, so I felt very isolated and alienated and alone and scared and dark. It was actually a very dark time in my life. Like, it felt really good to see, but it was like scary because now I had to let go of my ego, right? I had to let go of everything that I was attached to. And I even came to a point where I'm like, fuck this, like I'm just gonna move. I'm moving to an island, and or moving to a faraway land, moving to Costa Rica, I don't know, just moving there. And I'm just gonna give everything up and just be this light. That's literally what I felt. And I couldn't do that because I was married, and I was like, well, obviously I can't just leave my husband, and he probably would not come with me because he has no idea what I'm going through, so I have to stay. And so he was like a big part of me not just going 180 and just saying see ya to this materialistic world. So he kept me grounded, you know, and yeah. So that began a whole new journey of just going deeper and deeper and deeper into my truth, into who I am, into this spiritual wisdom, reading more books. So then I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and then his other book, A New Earth. He was really, really a big guide for me on my journey. Like, I studied his work. I didn't just read the book and underline. I listened to YouTube videos. I listened to his podcasts. I listened to his book club where he would go through the book chapter by chapter and like talk about it, the messages. I mean, I would listen to this every day, every morning on my way to work. Like, it was a part of me. And I consider this like my studying phase. And I spent about 2 years just heavily reading his work and other people. So Dr. 𝗪𝗪𝗪 about conscious parenting, she taught me a lot. I was a teacher at the time, so I was like, ooh, conscious parenting. It's like, you know, I'm dealing with kids. I can apply that. I had my nieces, so I can apply the teachings. But the teachings weren't even about kids. They were about you and transforming who you are. So I went through this deep transformation. I ended up quitting a lot of things, like bad habits. I stopped drinking. I mean, that was a slower process, but I stopped drinking alcohol. Now I don't drink at all, but, and it's been like 3 years now, but in the beginning it was like cutting it out, you know, just for like the morning, cutting it out for lunch, like lunchtime. Like, I'm not going to have a beer with my lunch because it makes me tired. I just started becoming more aware of my body and how things were affecting me. I realized that alcohol actually affects me in a negative way, and it makes me feel, disconnected and just foggy and cloudy, and I'm not 100% there when I'm drinking. So I was like, what's the point of this? So I slowly started cutting that out, and obviously it was like baby steps for that one, but I conquered it and I stopped drinking completely. And I got really bad hangovers too, so that was just not helping me. And I had to stop drinking caffeine because it was making me really anxious and nauseous, and I was like, it gives me this funny feeling. So I stopped drinking caffeine, and I like started drinking tea and like decaf coffee because I like the taste of coffee. And then I started eating all organic. Like that was the other shift. It was just just all organic, like more vegetables in my diet. So my diet got upgraded as well. Oh, and then also, like, the big one, I discovered my life purpose. I would, all this clarity came, and I was just like, okay, what do you want to do with your life? Like, who are you? Like, what are you meant to do with your life? Obviously, it has to do with, like, personal growth. Like what are you into? I had to ask myself, like, what are you into? What do you literally spend your waking hours doing, all of your free time? What do you do? Why are you trying to go away from that, trying to find other things? What do you do on a daily basis? You read books, to learn about yourself, self-discovery. You're constantly applying these teachings and trying to better yourself. So in essence, it's just personal growth. Like, it's like growing yourself, developing yourself, self-improvement, self-help. That is my thing. That's what I've been into since freaking high school. So it all of a sudden became obvious. It was always in front of my face. It was right there. That was my career. That was my chosen path. It was always right there. It was just, I didn't see it. So finally I saw it, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is what I love to do on myself. So why can't I help other people do it too? Why can't I help other people, grow and evolve, and, in any way I can help them based on, like, the work I've done on myself. And I think I was always, like, ashamed of this, because it wasn't popular. Like, personal development and, like, self-reflection and introspecting and learning about yourself, all that, like, that wasn't popular. Like, I go to work or I go to school, or, like, among my friends, like, nobody was into this. This was kind of like, oh yeah, you're doing that because you need help. That's what they assumed. Like, you're into personal growth when you have issues and you need help. I was just on this journey because I was just genuinely interested, and, like, I just was all about that. I don't know, I was born for it. And of course I had issues, like, we all have issues, but it wasn't like I was some psychopath that needed, like, some healing. It's just a normal person intrigued by this stuff. So yeah, the majority of the people around me were not really into this, and they didn't really understand. So I kind of felt ashamed that, like, this is something that I like to do, because it wasn't popular. And so I think I tried to, like, dismiss it and deny it, that this was, like, my thing. But when I had my awakening, it didn't matter, right? Because I was aware of the ego. I was aware of the pressures of society. I became aware that, like, all of that stuff that I'm scared of coming out and, like, being my true authentic self, like, all of that is part of this brainwashing that happens in society, that we grow up, believing that those things matter and that we have to fit in and all of that. Like, I thankfully, I got clarity on that, and I was like, well, that's definitely not part of the path, and that's an illusion, and we have to shatter the illusion. So that definitely was shattered, like, so I knew that it was my ego that didn't want to come out of the closet, that this is the stuff that I'm into. Anyway, so I realized that that's what I'm about. Like, that's for sure has to do with my life purpose. And I actually realized that my career is not just a career, and that's why I couldn't settle for this long, is because I have a bigger purpose here. I do believe I have a bigger purpose here on earth. And it is to help other people awaken and to really just spread the truth, spread my truth, like the truth for as far as I know it, that I, had the blessing and the privilege to wake up to, and all of the years of self-development and self-work and soul-searching that I have done. And then now, even the past couple years, just, we'll talk about the third awakening. And yeah, so it's my mission. It's my mission. And, I have tried to abort mission because it's too hard sometimes. And I can't. My soul calls me. Like, I have to do this. Like, I have a mission here on earth. I have a purpose, and that is to help heal the planet. By helping people on an individual level find inner peace, find love for themselves, find their own inner truth, connect to their spiritual selves, and recognize their divinity, and recognize that they are spiritual beings. Because that is the truth. That is the truth of our existence, and that's what I have to spread. Like, that's my purpose, and I can't not do that. I can't, as crazy as it sounds, and as much as people are like, okay, she's so awakened, she's so spiritual, she's so one with everything, like, yeah, like, I'm human, and I still am, like, obviously dealing with shedding my ego and the separate self mindset, but I am doing the work of elevating and raising my consciousness. And I do believe that I can help other people to raise their consciousness and find more happiness and peace, because I have seen a big transformation in my own life, in myself, just physically, even physical evidence of the things that I've done in my life, the actions I've taken, the changes that I have made, you know, to show that I am definitely evolving. And so I just recognize that that's all ego, and when people try to judge me and like have their comments, you know, it's just their own reflection of their own ego onto me. They're just projecting. So that was my journey. Like after I had my awakening, like I did a lot of studying and self-discovery and just letting go of a lot of things. Kind of found stability within myself and found who I was and found my life purpose. And I was like, well, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to have like an online business where I'm helping the world. I'm impacting the world on a larger scale. I don't want to just limit myself to work like within like my town. So I wanted to go online and to do something online, which I started my blog. And now I'm doing YouTube and other things. There are other things that I obviously want to do and expand so that I can help people on a more personal level. But that's how it all started. And obviously this career choice would also give me a lot of freedom, and it checked all of the boxes for what I was looking for in a career. So this is my dream, you know, it's aligned with my life purpose, it's my passion, it's everything. So I know I'll never give up on it. And okay, so that was cool, like all of that happened. And then fast forward 5 years and I have another epiphany. And that one is that I actually don't want to be in my marriage anymore. I was with my ex-husband for 14 years and we were married for 7. And, you know, that was going to be my life. Like that, we had dreams, we had plans together, we had everything together. The relationship wasn't even horrible. It wasn't like abusive or anything like that. I'm a dreamer and I don't like to settle. And for me, it wasn't enough. It wasn't what my soul was looking for. I just knew that intuitively, I knew that this was not my path anymore. And I had to take a different path. And I kind of knew that when I had my like spiritual awakening, 5 years prior, and I had that thought about like leaving it all behind and just moving to an island, and I was like, well, I can't because I have my husband. And I do feel like that was a part of why I stayed, but I think my soul was already telling me that like I have a different mission on this earth, because seeing all of the stuff that happened after I left him and the transformation that happened after was like, wow, okay, well, this was clearly meant to happen. Like this had to happen. And yeah, so the relationship wasn't like horrible, but there were a lot of things that were not good, and I knew in a lot of ways I deserved better, and there was something missing. There was just something missing in that connection. Although it was very good and there were a lot of compatibilities, it just wasn't it. I just knew it just wasn't it anymore. And I also had this feeling that I need to be alone. I need to be single. I don't even know what that feels like. And not only just to be single, like, woohoo, I'm free, but just to be on my own and to find my own independence and my own strength and my own power and my own confidence, because I don't even know how to get my own apartment, because I've been with you since I was 19, like I didn't even know how to adult. Like I always had my sidekick to help me, and like, oh, I'm so scared, help me. No more room for being scared, when you're single. So I faced so many of my fears just in regular little things, like everyday things of life. Like I bought my own car, like all on my own. Like I negotiated that deal on my own. What? Like I would never have the confidence to do that before. And it's not like I had the confidence then. I had no choice, and it grew me. And it was those little types of life experiences that really grew me up. And the loss grew me. The pain grew me. It was really, really rough. And then I got into like another relationship as well, and that didn't end well. And so I was going through a really, really dark time. And then like quarantine hit, this whole pandemic. And then I was like forced to look at myself in the mirror and face my shadow and face my fears, my aloneness, and my loss of my old life. It was the biggest ego death for me. Not having anything. I lost my job, and so I didn't have a job. I didn't have a husband or a boyfriend or a lover. You know, we couldn't even see other people, so now you don't even have like the social aspect. You don't have work, you don't have money, you don't have a stable source of income. The future's not promised. You have nothing. You know, you have nothing. And what do you do when you have nothing? You find something within yourself. You find that missing piece that you're looking for out there. You find it within. You have no choice. You have no choice but to go within yourself and find your own like wholeness, satisfaction, like within yourself, happiness within yourself. And thankfully I had already been on this journey. I had my spiritual awakening already, so I was well versed in this, and I had the tools, I had the wisdom, you know, I read all the books, I practiced this. I practiced self-love and happiness before, you know. This was just a whole nother level. This was really life putting me in a situation to rock bottom where I had no choice. Like I couldn't escape. Even if I wanted to escape, I couldn't. And like I would try to escape to like a future thought of like how the future can save me, like, oh well, when I go back to work, or oh well, at least, you know, I'll have money in this area, or oh, at least I can go on that vacation, or at least I'll find my person and they'll save me, my soulmate. I couldn't even think of that because we were in a pandemic where you have even no promise for the future. You're like, I can't even travel. I can't even meet people right now. There's not even an opportunity for me to meet my soulmate. So it's like, or to go back to work, like nothing, everything was uncertain. I'm sure everyone can relate. You know, you can relate to this. Obviously, we all got affected by the pandemic, but that was mixed in with like what I was going through personally. And I was already going through like letting go of so much and going through my heartache and pain and guilt for leaving my husband. He was heartbroken. He didn't want to end this marriage. Like he wanted to keep going, and I just felt so much guilt and just sadness for that, because I had so much love for him, and there was so much about our life that I loved, and it just wasn't right for me anymore. It was the hardest decision I ever had to make, honestly. Because I just knew it wasn't ultimately my path, but it wasn't like horrible to where I can be like, fuck you, you know, I'm leaving and I'm angry at you and you hurt me, and like there's that anger driving you. I didn't really have that. It was like, yeah, there was anger because he was like such a, you know, like just unavailable in so many ways, and it made me angry that he made me feel unseen and unheard, and you know, I feel like he took me for granted. So yeah, I was just like dealing with a lot, and at the end of the day, like the only thing that brought me peace was acceptance. Acceptance was my savior. It was just accepting reality as it is, accepting that I can't change this, like this is my path. And then it was getting super spiritual, like no other, and it was really trusting this path, and it was really trusting that this is my path, this is my purpose, this is here really to help grow and evolve me, and for some reason this is putting me right on the path that I need to be. And it's like I chose the path, you know, like I'm the one that ended my marriage, so it wasn't like I'm a victim. Like I was the one that made the decision. It was just really hard to live with that decision because it was I didn't really think about how hard it would be. I knew it would be hard. I knew I had to face a lot of things and pain. I knew that. I just never felt that kind of pain before. I never experienced that kind of pain. I knew it intellectually that it would be bad, but I never knew of how bad pain can be. And it was bad. Like it was bad. Like it was dark. It was depressing. It was bad. Like depression, you know? And the only way that I could get out of it is through acceptance, through aligning with the spiritual truth, the wisdom, my inner wisdom, my connection with source, my connection with my soul, knowing that this is my path, like this is meant to be for me. Like I am guided and I am protected and I'm going where I need to be to fulfill my life's purpose, and this is the path I need to go there, and the pain that I'm going through needs to be part of that plan, because if I'm not going through this pain, I'm not growing, I'm not evolving, and I can't help other people, you know? So how can I help other people if I've never really gone through that pain? And if I've never truly gone through loneliness, and if I've never truly gone through fear to that extent, and facing my fears and doing something big, you know, how can I be a good leader or a teacher or a coach or a healer if I haven't truly gone through that process? So I gained so much wisdom like over that period, and self-love. Self-love was the other thing that saved me. It was really just finding love for myself and empowerment, self-empowerment. So many of my new ideas and creative thoughts and wisdom came from that experience as a whole, just like leaving my husband and like what happened after that. And I also got in touch with like my spiritual gifts, and I really got in touch with my intuition. My intuition became really, really strong, and I like realize how much I'm able to pick up on like people's energy and just energies. And I mean, I always knew that I could, like that was always a part of my life. Like I was very intuitive and like in tune with, like I just read people really easily. I felt people really, but I became conscious of it again. It was like the aha moment. I'm like, oh, this is like an actual thing. So I just became aware of that gift, and I am very like highly empathic and like sensitive and intuitive, and started utilizing those gifts in other areas of my life, and like just expanding my skill set and expanding my gifts. And so that was the last awakening that I had, the big one. Those were like the major ones. I mean, I'm sure that I'll have more, because when we're on this spiritual path, you know, it just doesn't stop. Like there's just always more truth that gets revealed to you at the time that you're ready for it. We're not always ready. Like I mentioned that I started reading The Power of Now, you know, when I was 23, and it was like, okay, I don't really get it. And then I read it when I was 28, and I was like, oh, I relate to it. And one thing I do want to mention about that is when you are on this journey, right, of spiritual awakening, or just on a spiritual journey, soul searching, actively, consciously, because we're all on it. We're all on a spiritual journey. We're just like, who's conscious of it? And so when you're consciously searching for answers, first of all, know that you're not always ready to hear what you need to hear. So that's just a matter of time and all of that. But the other thing is, whenever you're reading something like a spiritual text, or you hear somebody talking about something of wisdom, you know, ancient wisdom, something like that, how you will know that it is your truth, how you will know that this is your message and this is for you, and this is something that you need to embrace and like, you know, go wild with, is it will resonate with you on such a deep level. You will read it or hear it, and it will be like everything in your body will be saying yes. You might get goosebumps. Like you just will feel this really strong feeling and resonance within you, within your body, that basically confirms that what you are reading or hearing is your spiritual truth. So if you're reading like something and it sounds great, and it's like, you know, it's everybody else is talking about it, it's mainstream, like this should be, you know, but it doesn't resonate with you. Or with me, religion, that's how it was. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like it just doesn't feel right. You know, it doesn't click. It doesn't align. It didn't align. And then you read this text, or, you know, you hear this truth, and you're like, that aligns. So you will know by how it resonates with you. And also sometimes, you know, it resonates, but it doesn't click and doesn't hit you as hard. It's probably just because you're not ready yet to see it like really, like, you know, from like a higher level, higher perspective. So just have patience with yourself. And the other thing I want to say about that is, at the end of the day, it's always like, always trust your own truth. Like always trust your own, just your own wisdom. Okay. I don't care what the book says. I don't care, like, even if it's a book that helped you, like me with The Power of Now, like super freaking, you know, amazing and helpful and transformative and enlightening. But there's still some aspects that I'm like, okay, it's not 100% for me. Let me go find my own truth. And I always go deeper, and I always search for what is true for me, despite what the outside sources are saying, even if the source is something that I truly treasure and hold sacred. Okay, so at the end of the day, you are your guru, right? You are your teacher. You are your spiritual, you are your own God. Like you have the wisdom within you to lead, to guide yourself. through your intuition. Like, you really don't need anything. They're all just guides and pointers to the truth, but the truth always at the end of the day lies within you. So just don't get lost in the readings and the texts and the knowledge. You know, always come back home, come back to yourself and see what feels true for you. And never limit yourself to a certain area that, like, okay, this aligns with me, this belief system aligns with me, I'm going to believe everything about it. And it's like, well, what if only some parts about it align with you, and then some parts of this message align with you and some parts of this, but they don't really go together? It's like either this or this. No, like, you don't have to choose one. Like, you just tune into which, like, take the little scraps, like, you know, make your own truth, make your own spirituality, like your own religion, right? Just be free to be yourself, be free to have your own truth based on your own experiences, your own thoughts, your own wisdom, your own intuition. That's enough. Like, you don't need any other source telling you what your truth is. Okay, so yeah, that was my story about my journey to awakening. I hope that you enjoyed that, and that it was, I don't know, maybe like it can help you and give you courage to be on this journey and to live your purpose and to follow your passion and to be the light, you know, be the light out there in this world of darkness. Be the light, do what you can to elevate yourself first and foremost, and then by that you elevate other people. That's all you can do. So I'm wishing you the best on your journey. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment if you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.